So if you clicked on this video, you're probably a player who's wondering what he should play, CS2 Faceit or CS2 Premier. Well, you came to the right place. In this video, I'll be giving you all the pros and cons of both Faceit and Premier, and by the end of the video, I'll give you my honest opinion on which you should play if you're both a casual or a competitive player. So hello everyone, I'm Fluffy and welcome back to the FXK channel. So as I stated previously, in today's video we will be comparing CS2 Faceit to CS2 Premier. So now before we get into the video, I would like to quickly explain what Faceit is to the people who are not familiar with it. So Faceit is a third-party platform that is used to play Counter-Strike and many other games. So now that we got that out of the way, we can start going with the pros and cons of both Faceit and Premier matchmaking. So the first and most obvious problem with CS2 Premier is the cheater problem. We are all aware that anti-cheat does not do its job, that it's completely shit and basically useless. So in most games that you play on Premier, you'll face one or two cheaters in each team, and the higher elo you go, the more cheaters you will face. Now on the other hand, Faceit does not have this issue. Faceit has its own anti-cheat that you have to download and launch before every game on that platform. I can personally say that it does wonders, as I have played over 2,000 matches on Faceit and I have only faced one single cheater, and even when I faced that cheater, he got banned almost immediately and I got my elo back, something that you will never see happen on Premier. So another thing that Faceit did way better than Premier is the ranking system. We are all familiar with the Premier ranking system being very random, where if you win like 10 games you will be gaining like 500 elo and losing 100 elo per game, while if you lose one or two games you'll start losing 500 elo per game and just gaining 100 elo per game. So that means that if you lose 2 games, it's gonna take you like 7 or 8 games just to get that elo back that you lost. Now Faceit on the other hand, the ranking system is level 1 to 10, and from each win and loss you win or lose 25 elo, and when you get level 10 your elo starts stacking, so you just get to 2100, 2200, 2300, etc. I do think that the Premier is a big improvement from what we had in CSGO, where the matchmaking system was completely random and the ranks were basically random. So it is an improvement, but compared to Faceit, it just is very bad. Now let's talk teammates in Premier are just awful. Most of them don't even know how they are at 20,000 elo. Most of them are like level 3 or 4 on Faceit. They don't know how to throw any basic utility. They don't even know how to hold their crosshair right. My Premier teammates barely use their microphone, barely communicate. They just don't do any team play. They just go onto the game, do whatever the fuck they want. And comparing that to Faceit is just a disaster. Faceit players are toxic, but at least they actually try to win the game, and in most games you'll have actually good teammates where you'll be able to communicate with them and actually do good team play. Not just that, but Faceit players are way better than Premier players, where a Faceit level 6, I can honestly see him being like over 20,000 elo in Premier. That's just how bad Premier players actually are. Now Faceit as a platform isn't perfect, it obviously has its own flaws. Now the biggest flaw that Faceit currently has is the amount of Smurf accounts and the amount of boosted accounts that have appeared since the release of CS2. For some reason, the lower elo ranks are just filled with new accounts and the higher elo ranks are just filled with boosted and bot accounts. It's very annoying losing a game to someone who has 40 matches, has the same elo as you, and has just insane stats like 25 average or 1.4 KD. And it's also annoying losing a game because you got queued with someone who obviously bought their account or who is obviously boosted. Now if I'm being honest, I would rather lose to someone who's actually good in the game than lose someone who is cheating. Now the only good thing about Premier, if you can even call it a good thing, is that it's just easy to use. You just need to load up your game, press the Q button, and boom, you found a game and you're playing. That's the only reason I would actually see people playing Premier instead of Faceit, because they don't want to download a random anti-cheat and go to a third-party site just to play Counter-Strike. It is kind of sad that we as CS players have to go to a third-party site in order to play Counter-Strike. Just by looking at other games like League of Legends or even CS's competitor Valorant, you can see how easy the matchmaking system is, where they just load up the game, they press the Q button, and they're in a game without any cheaters. Now my advice to you would be, don't instantly actually switch to Faceit first, like get good at the game, learn the basics. So I would recommend to you to first get to around 10,000 elo on Premiere and then switch to Faceit. A big mistake that many people do is they start playing Faceit way too early and then they get to like 400 elo and then they lose all the motivation to play the game. And even when they actually then become good at the game, they just have to struggle and get out of 400 elo, which can be a big pain in the ass. So as I said, switch to Faceit, but don't switch instantly, and stop wasting your time on Premiere. Now in summary, I do think that Faceit is just way better than Premiere. I think you can agree with me from the facts that you've just heard, especially if you're a competitive player who wants to improve in the game. I just see no point in playing Premiere. You should just switch to Faceit and learn the game there. Even for a casual player, I wouldn't just see a point in playing Premiere where you would just get killed by cheaters and the game would just not be a fun experience. My honest opinion is just switch to Faceit, play the game there, and don't waste your time trying to become good in the game by playing Premiere. So as I said, if you're a player who's looking to improve in the game, switch to Faceit. If you're a casual player, it's honestly your own opinion, but I would recommend you switch to Faceit for a nicer and smoother experience. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and I hope that you learned something new. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe to our channel, and I will see you in the next video.